of a statement from Zandile Lhumalo. I think it was handed in as Exhibit P1 here at court. It was handed in as Exhibit P1. Because of the fact that it already was handed in as an exhibit, I bear no responsibility to authenticate it. Because by virtue of the fact that it already got handed in as an exhibit, it is not in dispute that the statement was penned by Zandile. Nonetheless, this is what I'm at. Again, Zandile, in this statement, explains how the incident panned out. But as I'm saying, I'm at the description that she gives of the perpetrators in the house. That statement is 813. And Zandile is also in the list of state witnesses. She had already testified, in fact. Now, in paragraph 10, this is what she says. In Exhibit P1, this is what she says. Let me just check if I can start it. Okay, I'm going to start it at the paragraph 9, where she says, we all sat down and started making jokes. At that moment, it was around 20 hours in the evening, when suddenly two unknown African males walked inside the house from the kitchen door. One was in front. There's a bit of illegibility in the writing here. I'll try the best that I can to be smart in reading this paragraph. Let me start again. Paragraph 10. It reads thus. One was in front, having a gun on his hand. Let me wear my spectacles. Oh, let me start again. It says, one was in front, paragraph 10, one was in front having a gun on his hand. He was average height with dreadlocks, dark in complexion, thin in body, wearing a brown jacket or a beige in color. And he was having a small dops on his head. He had big eyes. But I will be able to identify him if I see him again. Let me read it again, because I think I was reading it in fits and starts. Now I'm going to flow. It says, one was in front having a gun in his hand. He was average height with dreadlocks, dark in complexion, thin in body, wearing a brown jacket of beige in color, and he had a small dops on his head. He had big eyes, but I will be able to identify him if I see him again. Now, this comes from one of the witnesses who was in the house, who already had testified before. Here, Mrs. Zandile Lhumalo says, the person that I saw is having, or I can describe him in the following way. Short, he had dreadlocks. No. It doesn't say short. He says he had an average height. He had dreadlocks, so dark in complexion and thin in body. Those are that is the description that Zandile gives when she is requested to describe the person that was having a firearm in his possession. Now, this is the third person who describes the perpetrator according to their house as a dark person, as a person who had dreadlocks. Let me pause there for purposes of interpretation.
My lord, Miss Zandile Lhumalo attended the very same ID parade where Longwe and her mother attended. The same ID parade. And she didn't identify this person as one of the intruders. That's the first part that I can say. The second part, insofar as her statement and the testimony she testified, my lord, I can't take it for that. I mean, I was not there. I think it would be fair that Miss Zandile is the one that who can explain herself. All I know is that she attended the ID parade and she didn't identify Miss Mbatha, as it was the same with Mr. Longwe Twala and Gladness Khumalo.
Thank you. I know that would sound a bit of an argument, but it is not. What Zandile basically is saying here is that, or what can be discerned from the three statements here. Statement from Khumalo, Longwe, and Zandile, that describing a person in a similar fashion. And why they're doing this? Because they were all in their house when the incident happened. I will argue what happened when Zandile came to court and when she gave a testimony with regard to the description of the person that she saw having a firearm. That's going to be my argument. Thank you.
I'm furthermore convinced that Umnisi is using what the state has presented to them to fight their own case, because they are saying they were intruders in the house and the intruder was dark in complexion and he is the one who had the firearm. But just taking a quick glance at accused number 3, the one who is alleged to have had the firearm that ended the life of SENZO MEYIWA, the firearm that was found in a search when they invaded his room, in what is termed the Cleveland case. And then surprisingly, the firearm, Gininda got wind of the firearm and called Mangena to come over to the Cleveland and check it out, which he did. And jiggy, coincidentally, magically, it was a match to the cartridges that were found at the crime scene that were only found by Mangena and nobody else, including all those high-ranking officials. High-ranking. Not just, the Metro Police. No, high-ranking, highly decorated police who were all over that crime scene. They never saw it. It was only seen the next day at 10 a.m. by Mangena. But you know what, Asiko Lapo, I like what Nisi is doing. I like what he's doing. I'm just nervous with regards to Zamokuhle Mbatha. But if I was Zamokuhle Mbatha's lawyers and we're waiting for that 17 million rands cash out, we would be watching briefs in that courtroom today o'clock, okay? We would be right there. So we're listening in and making sure our client is not thrown under the bus or brought back into this case after Gininda has cleared him profusely several times as not being the right guy. So yeah, that was such an interesting thing that Umnisi says. And he says, during my argument, I will talk about what Zandile did in court. That drama thing she did, pointing out Ubongani Ntanzi. How can you point out Ubongani Ntanzi? That doesn't match the description you put. In Zandile's defense, I can't believe I am going to give her a bone. But in Zandile's defense, you have to remember that she is short, petite, tiny, on the very, very small side. So she would see a short guy who might be short to taller people. She would see them as average height because to her, she's already short. Do you see what I mean? Anyway, I don't insult anyone because, we all saw how that ended with the brigadier. But yeah, let me know if that makes sense to you. Nisi's going down a very interesting path. He's not trying to build rocket science. He's not trying to invent a storyline. He is using the statements that were deposed to them and using them effectively to argue his point for accused number 3. And we know accused number 3 is very, very satisfied. Very satisfied. He's laughing at Gininda. He's smiling. He's bursting out laughing. We're seeing a different side of him. Maybe this is what out of solitary confinement looks like. He's now even sporting a young mustache. Okay? Life is changing over there for him. But let's continue listening on because, of course, it gets more interesting.
I hear you, my lord, sir.
Thank you.
Athi ngizweli.
Thank you. Now, further on. Further on, this court also heard the testimony of Ntokozi Sitwala, who testified here at court. He gave his own description. Mr. Madlala also gave his own description. They all accord with what Ms. Madlala said, with what Zandile said, and with what Longwetwala said.
My lord, I was not. I know that the only witnesses who testified is Zandi, Khumalo, and the two gentlemen. I'm not sure if Longwetwala testified, but be that as it may, my lord, I was not in court, so I don't know what was said by these witnesses, my lord.
Thank you.